transition to Blacksburg been?
It's been great. Guys been great. Do a lot of fishing on the weekends with the guys. You know, hanging out, and like I said earlier, you know, it's been nice. They've kind of just really accepted me and brought me in. You know, I know it's not easy having a new guy just come in and be in your locker room, so it's been good.
A little different terrain than Texas.
A little bit different terrain, especially West Texas, where I was before. It's pretty flat out there, so it's a little bit different.
Do you have to ease back on the fishing now that training camp has started, or can you still squeeze in time?
I don't think I'll be fishing any this month, which is, you know, pretty disappointing, but came here for football, so that's the main focus.
Football-wise, how different is this offense? I mean, you were in that sort of quick strike, get rid of the ball. Like,
yeah.
How similar or different is what you're doing here?
The way I look at it, it's football's football. You know, of course, there's going to be different verbiage, different coaching points, but there's only so many places people can go on the field. You know, so chances are I've run the play, the pass concept, whatever. So it's easy to adapt to it because, you know, I've been doing this for 3.5 years, so there's not a whole lot I haven't seen.
As an older guy, do you pick up offenses and learn things faster? That your teammates seem to feel like you've kind of learned things quickly here.
I feel like I've made pretty good progression with it. You know, it's definitely a process. Anytime you're learning a new system, it's going to take a while. But, you know, like I said, being able to have those really short meetings in the summer with Coach Loeffler, and then, you know, him emphasizing what I need to focus on and study up on, and then going out there and throwing with receivers on our own, building some timing up, and then getting out here, it's made practice go a lot more smooth. And it takes a lot of pressure off me because now I don't have to worry about, you know, do I have timing with this guy or not, because we've done all that in the summer. Now it's time to, you know, execute the playbook and make first downs.
Obviously, at some point late last season, end of the season, you started to look for a new place to go. When did Virginia Tech sort of come onto your radar, and how did that kind of happen?
I don't remember exactly when, but it couldn't have been more than a couple days after I announced that I was leaving.
And you got in touch, or Loeffler got in touch with you, or what happened?
Coach Morris over at Clemson, offense coordinator, was my head coach in high school.
Right.
And close family friends with him, but apparently him and Shane Beamer were down at the, I guess, Senior Bowl, and they got to talking, and then pretty shortly after that, Coach Loeffler contacted me. So then we just started building a relationship, and kind of like high school again, going through the whole recruiting process. And, you know, obviously really liked what I heard, and when I came up here, what I saw, and, you know, excited to be a Hokie.
Scott's a pretty intense dude. What's it like being coached by him?
He's intense. It's great. You know, he pushes us to be, you know, as good as we can possibly be each day, and that's important. You know, the quarterback position is a position that, you know, everybody's going to be looking at, especially in camp here when the days start to get long and everybody starts to get tired. And him being on our back, pushing us to do all the little things right, you know, shows the other guys that, hey, you know, we need to follow them and do what they're doing too.
You met him in the summer. Is he more intense now? I mean, does he take that up a notch now that he's actually out there on the field and doing stuff?
Definitely, yeah. Now that practice has started, it's a whole different ball game. He's in his element now.
Let's get out of the way. Can you just address, you know, the timing of when you want to make a decision about quarterback and how you look at that situation?
Yeah, I prefer to make it as soon as we can, but we also want to do our justice and those kids' justice in terms of we want to be accurate in our decision. We want to make sure we're making the right decision, and you know, we've been out there 2 days and we're still playing basketball right now. We're not in full pads, so we'll make it whenever it's the right time to be made, if that makes any sense. And could it happen in the next 5 days? Possibly. Could it happen 2 weeks from now? But we're all gonna know in this building when it's time to be made, and we're all gonna know in this building who the guy's supposed to be. So we'll make that decision whenever it's the right time to make it.
I know the rules allowed you to meet with the quarterbacks over the summer a little bit. Do you still have to see a guy like Brewer on the field before you can really start to get a sense of what he's about?
I think you get an understanding about a guy's professionalism, how he handles himself. I think which I'm excited about, I think the whole room has changed in terms of how they meet and the efficiency of a meeting and how you're supposed to write everything down, the details. I think it's improved unbelievably, and we need to continue to handle our meetings like the professionals do, like the pros do, and that's where it starts. That's where you get better. That's the beginning. That's the foundation, is knowing what to do. And I think that the culture in that room, in terms of professionalism, writing things down, asking questions, involved in the meeting, I think that's been much better.
Michael Brewer mentioned that part of the way he got here was Chad mentioning him to you. Just tell us that story. How did that come about?
I went down to the Senior Bowl. You know, like to do that occasionally, just to, when our guys are playing in the game, to support our guys. You know, it's kind of a coaches convention for pro coaches and all that. So I just like going, watching, seeing people. And Coach Morris was there that day with Coach Sweeney at Clemson and a couple of their other coaches. And briefly it was, hey, how you doing on the sideline? Watching one of the teams practice for, I don't know, 30 seconds. It was very brief. I flew back to Charlotte that night. I landed about 10 p.m. and had to drive back to Blacksburg, and I was checking my voicemails, and I had a voicemail from Chad Morris. And I'm thinking, what is he calling me for? And he was calling to start, you know, talking about Mike, and that he may be looking to transfer from Texas Tech, and how high he was on him. And about Statesville, I called Scott, and it was getting late, and next morning we had a staff meeting, I guess, and kind of got the ball rolling on that from that standpoint. So I've, you know, Chad's called me kind of periodically throughout the summer, last week as well, just to check up on Mike and how he's doing, and it's been a win-win for everybody, and that's what he said. You know, hopefully best case scenario is we get to play against each other in Charlotte, you know, but we don't play you here for a while, and he's a great kid and has a chance to be a great player, was his message to us.
Surprising, you know, I mean, you mentioned you're not on the schedule, but you are in the conference together. Surprising that?
A little bit. When he called me, his name was getting mentioned for different jobs and things like that. So I'm like, why? You know, there's a lot of things that are rolling through your head when he calls. He's asking for coaches. I don't know, who knows what he's calling for. Last thing I thought he was calling me for was about Michael. But yes and no. We've got a lot of respect for Clemson. You know, I got to know Dabo very well when I was at South Carolina, and some of those guys on that staff I've worked with at different places. So I think there's a very strong mutual respect towards us in Clemson, maybe more so, you know, than other programs that we play. And it is kind of rare going to the conference. If we were playing on this year or next year, I'm not sure he would have been as willing to call, but certainly appreciative of him calling and getting the ball rolling on that.